October 21st, 2025, marks a seismic shift in global trade, a day that will be remembered for years to come. The world watched in disbelief as China announced a sweeping and unprecedented 500% tariff on all U.S. goods entering its borders. This move sent shockwaves through international markets and left policymakers scrambling to respond. The scale of this retaliation is staggering. Cargo ships carrying American products now face massive new costs, and Chinese customs officials are enforcing the new rules with strict precision. The ripple effects are immediate, with businesses on both sides of the Pacific bracing for uncertainty. China's decision comes as a direct response to mounting U.S. threats over Beijing's continued purchases of Russian oil. The announcement stunned Washington, catching even seasoned politicians and former President Trump off guard. The White House is now under intense pressure to formulate a counter-strategy. Across the United States, the economic impact is already being felt. Supermarket shelves are starting to empty as supply chains falter, and major shipping ports are eerily quiet, with cranes standing idle. Prices for everyday goods are expected to skyrocket, fueling concerns about inflation and economic instability. Beijing's bold response is more than just a trade maneuver. It's a clear message to Washington. China is no longer willing to accept what it sees as economic bullying. This marks the beginning of a new, more confrontational era in U.S. China relations, with both sides digging in for a prolonged standoff. The 500% tariff is designed to hit American exporters where it hurts most. From hardworking farmers in the Midwest to leading tech giants in Silicon Valley, the pressure is mounting. Many hope their voices will influence U.S. policymakers to reconsider their approach, but the path forward is uncertain. At the heart of this escalating conflict lies the U.S. accusation that China is supporting Russia's war efforts by continuing to buy Russian oil. American diplomats have repeatedly warned Beijing, but China remains defiant, insisting on its right to conduct trade as it sees fit. Washington's proposed tariffs were intended to isolate China from Russia economically, but Beijing's dramatic countermeasure is a powerful defense of its trade sovereignty. The world is now watching to see which side will blink first in this high-stakes economic showdown. Global financial markets are reeling from the news. Stock prices are swinging wildly, and traders are on edge, fearing further escalation. This latest move underscores just how dangerous and unpredictable the superpower rivalry has become, with the fate of the global economy hanging in the balance. At the heart of the United States' evolving strategy to support Ukraine was a new and ambitious initiative, the Ukraine Victory Fund. This fund quickly became a centerpiece of U.S. foreign policy discussions, drawing attention from both allies and adversaries around the world. The plan was as bold as it was controversial, imposing sweeping tariffs on Chinese imports, with the revenue directly funneled to bolster Ukraine's defense capabilities. This approach not only targeted China's economic influence, but also aimed to provide Ukraine with the resources it desperately needed to resist Russian aggression. Originally conceived during the Trump administration, the Ukraine Victory Fund was designed to intertwine global trade with international security. By linking tariffs on Chinese goods to military aid for Ukraine, the U.S. sought to leverage its economic power to achieve strategic goals on the world stage. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent officially unveiled the plan during a high-profile visit by President Zelensky to Washington, D.C. The announcement was a clear signal. The United States was prepared to use its vast market power as a weapon, not just against Russia, but also to pressure China into reconsidering its global alliances. The ultimate objective was to undermine Russia's ability to finance its war machine, squeezing its economy and forcing Moscow to the negotiating table. By cutting off key revenue streams, the U.S. hoped to shift the balance of power in Ukraine's favor. The Ukraine Victory Fund showcased America's unique position as a global economic powerhouse. However, the public unveiling of the plan gave China time to prepare its own countermeasures, setting the stage for a new era of economic rivalry. Rather than delivering a decisive blow, the fund's announcement provoked swift retaliation from Beijing. China imposed its own tariffs on American goods, escalating trade tensions and raising the specter of a direct confrontation between the world's two largest economies. The Ukraine Victory Fund, once seen as a masterstroke, now risked igniting a broader conflict with unpredictable consequences. As tariffs took center stage, Congress pursued sanctions against nations buying Russian oil, with China as the main target. Senate Majority Leader John Thune pushed for a sanctions bill, co-sponsored by Senators Graham and Blumenthal. This legislation aims to penalize financial transactions, enabling China's oil purchases, complementing the tariff strategy. The bill's advancement signals Congress's alignment with the administration's aggressive stance. The goal makes supporting Russia economically untenable for China, forcing a strategic re-evaluation. The success of the United States in its strategic competition against China heavily relies on the support of its European allies. A united economic front is crucial for this endeavor. The U.S. believes that by joining forces, they can create a formidable alliance that can effectively counter China's growing influence on the global stage. To this end, the U.S. has proposed the establishment of a coordinated tariff wall. The idea is to reinvest the revenue generated from these tariffs into bolstering European defense capabilities, thereby strengthening the transatlantic alliance. However, Europe remains hesitant. The continent is cautious about labeling China as an adversary, primarily due to the deep and intricate economic ties that have been established over the years. These connections are vital for many European economies. Major economies, such as Germany and France, are particularly concerned. They fear that a trade war could have devastating effects on their industries, which are already facing numerous challenges in the current economic climate. While there is a consensus on the importance of supporting Ukraine in its ongoing struggles, the issue of how to approach China remains a point of contention. Opinions are divided, with some advocating for a more confrontational stance, while others urge caution. The United States is pushing for bold and decisive action, hoping to rally its European partners to take a firmer stand. However, Europe prefers a more cautious approach, which complicates Washington's plans and highlights the delicate balancing act that Europe must perform in this complex geopolitical landscape. Beyond tariffs, military and diplomatic maneuvers shape the conflict. Ukraine requests advanced weaponry, like Tomahawk missiles, to strike deep into Russian territory. A potential Trump-Putin summit in Budapest offers a chance for high-stakes diplomacy. This dual approach, military pressure and diplomacy, aims to compel Russia to negotiate. The goal in the war on terms favorable to Ukraine, balancing deterrence and provocation. China's economic power extends to its rare earth mineral monopoly. New export restrictions remind the world of its supply chain vulnerabilities. These minerals are crucial for technology and defense, complicating Western efforts to isolate China. The move highlights China's leverage and transforms the trade dispute into a strategic confrontation. Control over resources becomes as critical as trade flows, adding complexity to global tensions. The geopolitical climate is tense, with U.S. China tensions nearing economic war. A potential Trump-Xi summit offers hope for de-escalation. The Ukraine conflict is now a proxy in U.S. China rivalry, with global implications. Decisions in key capitals will shape international security and economic stability. The world watches, hoping diplomacy prevails over confrontation as the future of global order hangs in the balance.